just awfulness on your platform. Why don't you just, you have, explain what you've done, and I'd really like to understand why you haven't absolutely kicked him off your platform.
Yeah. Well, to start, our platform has three main constituents. It has our users, our creators, and our advertisers. And what we've seen is that if there is someone on our platform, our creator, who does something really awful or any kind of egregious behavior, that affects everybody.
Right.
And so with Logan Paul, we've actually taken two actions. The first was a removal from our premium monetization, and then a hold of all of the original shows.
Right.
And then due to a pattern of really egregious behavior, we decided to suspend monetization of his.
Right.
Now, we think that's actually a pretty strong statement in itself. And then more, like, just to get away from him as an individual and talk about the platform as a whole, we actually, on Friday, announced the fact that we were going to have a new set of kind of a code for our creators who do egregious actions in terms of removal of premium monetization, that they could be removed from services, they could even be removed from trending, and watch next in other areas. And we felt like that was really important to be able to maintain the responsibility on our platform of...
Right, but again, why not just throw them off? Like, where is the, like, you have how many children? 83 children, right, at this point? You have a lot of kids. Once they do things, you
I'm not sure children is the best analogy, because
okay,
like you do want to keep your children.
Yes.
But right, like I wouldn't want to throw them out if they do something bad.
Right.
But I hear you on this point, and I mean, look, we do terminate accounts all the time.
Right.
So we do have a 3 strikes rule, and if somebody violates 3 times, then we terminate those accounts, and we do that all the time. And we always try, when we think about our actions, to make sure that we're being consistent. Right. And whatever we're doing, we're applying.
That you're not consistent.
No,
right?
they might complain about that, but we try our very best to be consistent across everybody.
Okay.
And when someone does violate our strike, if they have 3 strikes, then yes, we terminate that.
Right.
The problem is when someone will do something that is egregious, but it doesn't fully violate the policy, or they get 1 strike but not 3 strikes. And so that was actually why this announcement that we had on Friday we thought was really important, is it does give us a lot more levers and opportunities to be able to implement and pull back any kind of services for creators if they are violating or doing something egregious on our platform. But he basically, to answer your question, like he hasn't done anything that would cause those 3 strikes, and so we can't just be pulling people off of our platform. If we did just pull people off of our platform because
they're tasteless and vile.
Well, they need to violate a policy, and we need to have consistent behavior. I mean, this is like a code of law.
Let's get to that. Why don't you? You can always, you're Google. You can change the rules, right? Like you can just say, now we're doing this.
Yes, but like what you think is tasteless, is not necessarily what someone else would see as tasteless. And so I'm just saying we need to have consistent laws, codify that in our policies, so that can be trained and we comply consistently to millions of videos and millions of creators.
So that gets the idea, and you and I talked about this. I'm not trying to give you a hard time. It's just like you're running what is essentially. Do you think you're running a media company?
Well, we are a technology platform, but the output of our product is media.
But are you a new kind of media company? Would you even accept that? Because I think it's not just you, and I think Facebook is even worse. They run away from the idea of themselves as a media company, and I think I know why. Because then you have to impose values, right? We talked about this when we were at YouTube. And I think my argument to you was, at some point you have to have a set of values, and that's it. Like people don't want to pick values, because then you have to make choices, really hard choices.
Well, so we do have values, and we always have had community guidelines, and we've always said these are the behavior that we think is not appropriate, right? And so we look at what people do, and if they violate those policies 3 times, we kick them off the platform. We terminate accounts all the time, and there are many people who think they should not have been terminated.
Give me an example of someone what have they done?
Oh, there are lots of things. So, promotion of drugs, promotion of hate, violent activities, releasing people's private information, adult content. Right. There are a million ways. We outline this on our site. These are all of the different guidelines, both to be part of our community, and we outline very clearly the strikes. Right. So, if someone does something that is really distasteful, we look and say, is this distasteful or did it violate a policy? Right. And we can change the policy, and we constantly are changing, and we constantly are updating these policies.
Do you ever imagine that distasteful is enough? Because here you are, I think you're building a media company. I think you have a media company. And so it seems to me that every week you're just going to open a drawer and there's going to be another horror show for you, like no matter what, because you must be like, oh, Jesus. I think one of your employees actually came up to me and said, that used to be all squirrels and cats, and now it's a college ethics debate every week at YouTube. It's like, should we do this? Should we do that? What do you do when you have this much power over people's communications, and yet you don't want to kick people up? We want to be a platform, or a benign platform is how I think you all look at it.
So first of all, we want to be fair, right? So you're saying like, this is distasteful, this is horrible, and what the thing is, we need to codify what we see as distasteful in our policies, and then we need to have that be very clear so that we're not just saying, oh, look, this is distasteful and kicking it off of the platform. And then I think the other thing we need to do is consult also with experts too. So we're starting to do a lot more of understanding, sort of where do we draw these lines? And also remember, we're a global platform. And so we might have different values here in the US, but then you go to India or Thailand or Vietnam and they have a different set of values. And so we also have to be sensitive to those areas. So look, we think that having those values is very important. And that's actually why we felt like on Friday when we announced the fact that now we had a new set of services and benefits and privileges that we could tell creators ahead of time, look, if you do something egregious on our platform, these are the things that can be removed. And they always knew that they could have their account terminated. Right.
But essentially what you're doing is slowly suffocating them. That's, yes.
No, we're not slow. No.
Quickly suffocating them. No, what? Well, you take away the monetization.
Taking away the monetization is really powerful in itself because, look, it's a business, and so, and if there are content that we will remove if it violates our policies, and again, if there are 3 strikes, we'll.
So how you do this? One of the things you guys just hired 10,000. Is that 10,000 people?
Right. So we're in the process of having 10,000 people that will be looking at controversial content at Google.
So to get faster. Now, as I said to you when I was interviewing you recently, like you need 1 million people for how many trillions of videos are every 5 seconds? Or it's some enormous number.
So we have 400 hours uploaded every minute.
Every minute, which is a lot.
Yes, it's a lot.
That's a lot of work for 10,000 people.
Yes. Yeah. Luckily, it's not all being done by people.
So you're going to do some with computers and AI and.
Yes.
So where is that in the? How do you feel about that? Because again, the combination is still probably not enough, correct or not?
Well, we think that the combination of that many people and the machines will really help us to be able to manage the content on our platform. And if it's not, then we will add more people and we'll also add more machines.
Okay.
And it's really important to have both because the people train the machines do that work at scale, and then the humans double check the work of the machines.
All right, so the other controversy obviously you got into, and then we'll move on to your other businesses, but controversies are so much fun, and you're very good sport for it, Russia stuff. Yes. What have you been doing to ensure, obviously Facebook has gotten into more trouble for this, and Twitter, but what have you guys